Folks, it is truly an honor today to be with the folks that are standing behind me because they represent not only the highest level of law enforcement in the United States and the state of Florida, but it's a clear indication of how serious we are about this fentanyl issue. Today, we're joined by representatives from the U.S. Attorney's Office, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, DEA, FBI, HIDA, and also the Winter Haven Police Department. We're fighting a battle that we've got to win. Fentanyl is killing people by the thousands across this country, but still it appears that it's falling on deaf ears. In this particular operation, you'll hear details as we get into it about today we have seized enough kilo to kill an additional 1,750,000 people in this country. Did you hear what I said? 1,750,000 people. Now, it wasn't very many months ago that I stood here with Roger Handberg of our U.S. Attorney for the Middle District of Florida, and we had seized even more fentanyl than that last time. Cocaine is dangerous, methamphetamine is dangerous, heroin is dangerous, but it rarely kills you the first time you use it unless you take a horrific, obvious overdose. Fentanyl kills people DRT right now, dead right there, right now. And it concerns us all. So I'm going to talk briefly, I'm going to give you a 30,000-foot view of two major drug operations that we worked with our partners, federal, state, and local. And it all started in August of this last year. But the purchases, once we made the relationships with our undercover folks from the sheriff's office here in Polk County, you hear me brag about my detectives. They're simply the very best. Well, they've been joined by the very best from the Winter Haven Police Department, FDLE, DEA, the FBI, to infiltrate two organizations and seize a lot of dope. So we not only seized 3.5 kilos of fentanyl, we seized 14 kilos of cocaine. And that's the current trend that we see. We're seeing we're seeing an uptick in cocaine seizures and sale, and we're also seeing that blended with or as a part of the same group that can sell you fentanyl. The people we're talking about today are all legally in the United States. Most are of Puerto Rican descent, and you'll find that they are either from this country or have come to us from Puerto Rico, and as you know, the status there that they're legal in the United States as well, but they're here killing people. So I want to tell you that there's going to be speakers from FDLE. Lee Massey is going to talk about the SAFE program. Chief David Brennan is going to talk from the Winter Haven Police Department, and of course our U.S. Attorney Roger Handberg. But let me give you just a snapshot, a quick overview of the operations. Here's where we're seeing the dope in this particular case, the Cologne case, come to us from Puerto Rico via Hillsborough, via Polk County. And here's what it's about. It's about guns and dope. Now, you're going to hear me say it over and over, probably every press conference that we have about drugs. Whoever wants to lead you to believe that this is a low-level, nonviolent drugs is out of their mind. They are crazy, okay? So let's get past that. We have this group of people that continue to try to push the narrative that drugs aren't dangerous. that drugs aren't violent, but that's not true. So let me give you an overview. You've got Jasmine Cologne and Miguel Berdecilla. Now listen, I'm from Polk County, okay? So you're going to hear the Polk County pronunciation of these Hispanic names. Omar Medina, Luis Salcido, Roosevelt Cologne, and Julio Rodriguez. Now, Salcido is a big deal in this. This is where it all started with him, August of 23. And what occurred in August of 23 was we met to buy some cocaine, and we did. And we were wanting to lead to fentanyl because we understood that they had the ability to do that. So we made one purchase, and then we met up again the second time where we were going to make more arrests, and we found out that his buddy was Roosevelt Cologne, and this is the big guy, okay? So he is the one supplying this guy who's wanting to deal with us. So we very rapidly got into the organization. We made the arrest, but when we made the first buy, and on the second buy when we did the buy bust, Jasmine Cologne shows up. We find out she was an instrumental part of this drug trafficking organization, and when she showed up at this drug deal with a 7-year-old child. That now eliminates her from Mother of the Year contest, okay, just saying. But she shows up with a 7-year. Omar Medina was with her, and who is Salcido's running guy, Miguel Berdecilla. So anyway, here's the bottom line to it. They're running and gunning throughout the east side of Polk County, and they're selling a lot of dope. At least they were until they got arrested. So in the middle of this investigation, now understand there's a lot of moving parts. I gave you in about 1 minute an operation that was massive in scope and required agents from all of these operations. And then there's the Espinosa operation along with Romero, the drug trafficking organizations. The fentanyl's coming from Mexico to Polk County. The cocaine, we believe, is coming from Puerto Rico to Polk County. Now, when we're talking about Espinosa, I like his picture here. Let me show you him. You see his picture? It's grayed out. You know why it's grayed out? He's under federal indictment and he's in custody. He's not charged with state charges. And there are rules out of Washington, D.C. that says, hey, we don't show their picture. So I'm more than pleased to show you that the federal government in Washington, D.C. does not want you to know who's trafficking in fentanyl. Now, that's way above Roger Handberg's pay grade, and certainly he can't say that, and I wouldn't expect him to, but I'll say it. That's the dumbest rule I have ever seen in my entire life. So that's one more dumb thing that they do in Washington, D.C. But Espinosa, we call him Maximo. You know, he's got a history of 14 felonies, 12 misdemeanors. He's already been to federal prison. He's currently on probation out of the Northeast for armed trafficking in heroin. And then we arrest him in this huge operation. And immediately, and I cannot thank our U.S. Attorney Roger Handberg enough. He is the man, and his team, the FBI, the DEA, they all piled in together, and we got this guy in custody. He pays no attention to the rules. In fact, he said to the undercover folks in one of the operations, hey, this is the American way. Sell a lot of dope, make a lot of money. Well, here is the American way too. Sell a lot of dope, make money, go to federal prison. And so he is in federal lockup. That's why we're not using his picture today. Well, what's it all about? It's all about guns and drugs. Once again, we have found that the fact that they're convicted felons makes no difference. The fact that, but they are going to get involved. So in this operation, Pedro Bimba Romero, he's from West Palm Beach. He is the guy, he's one of the head of this with Espinosa. We purchased from him a kilo of cocaine in November, and he brought Espinosa around. From there, they purchased drugs on the 23rd of December, fentanyl, from Espinosa. In case you forgot what Espinosa looks like, let me remind you once again, that's Espinosa, you see. This guy's charged with state charges, so you get to see his picture. From there, on January 2nd, they arrange a purchase of fentanyl. And Espinosa arrives with 10 kilos of cocaine and 2 kilos of fentanyl. Obviously, there's a takedown. When we take them down, we find out the person who brought up the fentanyl is Ruben Olivares and Pedro Mejia. So they're in a separate car. And in the takedown, and we're trying to get all of these guys, Omar Velez, he flees, striking one of the detectives. He didn't stop after he hit our detective. He left in his BMW. Well, we found him. He was from West Palm Beach. And now he's in lockup. They're all in lockup. Now here's the message that we want to give. The message we want to give is this is just the beginning. We're all in this together. We're all working together with this. This is not only a DEA job. This is not only an FBI job or an FDLE job or Polk Sheriff job or a Winter Haven Police job. This is all of our jobs to keep and protect people. And that's what we're doing. I feel bad about giving you like a 2-minute rendition of a very complex undercover investigation. It's as if it's not fair to these guys who work so hard on it. But that's what we have time for, and if we get any more complicated, people are going to fuzz out kind of like Espinosa's picture and not pay any attention. So with that, I want to next turn it over to a dear friend of mine, and I have been in this business my entire adult life. I've worked with the U.S. attorneys, and they've been good my entire life. I've never worked with one as great as Roger Handberg that gets boots on the ground himself and gets involved himself and cares about the people of the United States and the Middle District of Florida and Polk County as much as Roger and the leadership he brings to his great prosecutors. So, Mr. Handberg?
Thank you, Sheriff.
Yes, sir.
And thank you, Sheriff, for those very kind words. It's a real privilege to be here in Polk County today and to be here with Sheriff Judd and his team to talk about a really incredible series of cases that law enforcement in this community has done. And I really want to thank the Sheriff for his leadership and for the great work of his office and for the great work of all of our partners on what I believe is the deadliest drug threat our country has ever faced, and that's fentanyl. Every year, the Florida medical examiners issue a report about the number of deaths caused by drugs in Florida. And if you go back to the report that was issued in 2010, it would say that there were 114 deaths caused by fentanyl in the state of Florida in 2010. Since then, the number of deaths caused by fentanyl in Florida has increased almost 5,000%. Deaths caused by fentanyl in Florida first topped 500 in 2015, and they've been going up since then. Over 1,000 in 2016, over 2,000 in 2018, over 3,000 in 2019, and in 2020 they topped over 5,000. In 2021, which is the most recent year for which we have statistics, fentanyl was responsible for killing 5,791 people in Florida. Florida is not alone in experiencing an increase in overdose deaths caused by fentanyl. Between 2019 and 2021, fatal overdoses across the United States increased 94%. Fentanyl is now the leading cause of death of Americans age 18 to 44, and it's been a leading contributor to the opioid epidemic. As the United States Attorney for the Middle District of Florida, I have the privilege, and it is a privilege, of serving as the Chief Federal Law Enforcement Officer for 35 counties in Florida. Because of the terrible impact that fentanyl has had on the communities that my office serves, we increased our resources to prosecute more fentanyl cases in federal court. Those increased resources have resulted in increased federal indictments. Over the past 2 fiscal years, my office has doubled. We have doubled the number of fentanyl defendants that we have prosecuted in federal court. Those cases have resulted in large seizures of fentanyl. There are 13 million people in the district served by my office. Over the past 2 fiscal years, our law enforcement partners in our federal cases and in our federal law enforcement operations have seized enough fentanyl to kill every single one of those 13 million people 4 times over. The case that I'm here to talk about today, and you've heard about it from the sheriff, is a great example of the excellent work that's being done by investigators in this community to protect everyone from fentanyl and dangerous drugs. And make no mistake about it, these are terribly dangerous drugs that can kill people. In November of last year, Maximo Espinosa and a conspirator sold a kilogram of cocaine to a purchaser for $18,500. What he did not know at the time was the person he had sold the cocaine to was an undercover officer with the Polk County Sheriff's Office. What Espinosa also did not know was he was being investigated not only by the Sheriff's Office, but by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and the United States Drug Enforcement Administration. Working together, those agencies did what they are so good at doing. They set up additional deals for Espinosa to distribute more drugs to the undercover officer. And that is exactly what Espinosa did. On December 5th, Espinosa delivered a fentanyl sample to the undercover officer. On December 7th, Espinosa sold a kilogram of cocaine to the undercover officer for $37,000. And on January 2nd, Espinosa delivered approximately 2 kilograms of fentanyl and 10 kilograms of cocaine to the undercover officer. This deal, however, did not end with the payment of any money. Instead, it ended with Espinosa's federal arrest. But the Polk County Sheriff's Office, FDLE, and DEA were not the only ones investigating Espinosa. The Federal Bureau of Investigation was as well. In October, the FBI, using a confidential source, purchased cocaine from Espinosa. As part of its parallel investigation, the FBI confirmed the location of Espinosa's residence in Kissimmee. And after Espinosa was federally arrested on January 2nd, the FBI executed a search warrant at Espinosa's residence, which resulted in the seizure of half a kilogram of fentanyl, 1 kilogram of cocaine, and as so often the case with drug trafficking, 2 firearms. In total, the law enforcement agencies on this case have seized approximately 3.5 kilograms of fentanyl, 12 kilograms of cocaine, and 2 firearms from Espinosa. This great work by the Polk County Sheriff's Office, FDLE, DEA, and FBI has undoubtedly saved lives. According to the most recent annual report from the Florida Medical Examiners, cocaine ranks second and fentanyl ranks first in causing drug deaths in Florida. By stopping 3.5 kilograms of fentanyl and 12 kilograms of cocaine from being distributed here in Polk County and elsewhere, these investigative agencies on this case have protected everyone here in Polk County from those dangerous drugs. I want to commend the Polk County Sheriff's Office, FDLE, DEA, and FBI for working together as a team to develop the evidence that has led to the federal charges in this case. Through their excellent work and partnership, Espinosa has been charged in a federal criminal complaint with conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute both fentanyl and cocaine. The allegations in that criminal complaint, which I've just summarized here today, well, they're just that. They're allegations, and Espinosa is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. These are serious federal charges. Espinosa is facing a minimum mandatory of 15 years in federal prison up to life. This case and the other case that you've heard about today is a great example of how local, state, and federal investigators are able to effectively work together to protect the community from those who seek to distribute dangerous drugs. I'm here today to commend the agencies on this case for their outstanding work on it. Through their partnership, they have protected Polk County by arresting a defendant who has distributed enough drugs to kill every single person in Polk County. And I want to commend State Attorney Brian Haas and his office for their partnership on this case. Our offices take a team approach to prosecution in Polk County. Our offices work together to find the appropriate court to prosecute drug trafficking cases so that we can assure that we're doing everything we can to protect the people here in Polk County from fentanyl and other dangerous drugs. The sheriff gave a message, I want to give one too. Let this be a message to anyone who illegally traffics in fentanyl and other dangerous drugs in Polk County. As you can see from the law enforcement agencies here today, local, state, and federal, you will be investigated. And if you send deadly drugs into Polk County, our agents and investigators will use every lawful tool to hold you accountable for your crimes, no matter where you operate. And if you have violated federal law, the United States Attorney's Office will seek to prosecute you in federal court. All of us you see before you here today, we're united in our desire to keep this community safe. And I want to thank the sheriff again for having me today and for his leadership on what I think is the most severe law enforcement challenge we have in dealing with fentanyl. And I want to thank his agency and all the agencies here again for their work. And I want to turn it over to Lee Massey with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement.
Thanks, sir. Good morning, y'all. As Attorney Hamburg said, I'm Lee Massey with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. I'm one of their assistant commissioners. And on behalf of Commissioner Glass, I want to echo the sentiments of the previous leadership and talk about the partnerships that was demonstrated on this investigation, as we've done with several others. It is actually humbling to stand alongside Sheriff Judd and AUSA Roger Hamburg in their dedication and commitment to public service for as many years as they have. I have known them in one form or another for quite a long time, and leadership like this is the only way that these types of investigations culminate. So you've heard a lot of alarming statistics. I want to transition a little bit into a significant role that FDLE plays in this. Prior to the press conference, we were having a conversation in the back rooms, and there was a perception that it just seemed like so many people really just didn't care or have a commitment to stopping this influx of this poison that's killing our people. One of the biggest hurdles local and state law enforcement faces is that these investigations are not cheap. They command significant numbers of human resources, and the quality of investigations that we've gotten with the law enforcement of the Polk County Sheriff's Office, the FDLE, Tampa Bay Regional Operations Center, led by Special Agent Mark Brutnell and his team of agents that were involved in this, the Winter Haven Police Department, and our federal partners at DEA and FBI. That's a quality that you just don't find everywhere, and a willingness to work together is even more unique. But one of the big hurdles that we have always faced is the ability to have the revenue, the money to carry these investigations to fruition. We've been able to take low-level, maybe mid-level participants in these drug trafficking organizations, but we've never been able to go completely after the head of the snake. The sheriff did an eloquent job at defining who those individuals are. last year in the legislative session, leadership within the lawmakers of the state of Florida in support of Governor DeSantis pushed through what we now call the SAFE, the State Assistance Fentanyl Eradication Initiative, which actually allocated $20 million to the enforcement of fentanyl-related cases in the state of Florida. I have been in law enforcement for a very long time, to the sheriff's point, most of my adult life. I've never seen that. That is a commitment from lawmakers that have said, we do care about the people of the state of Florida, and our role in that is to provide the resources to allow you to go cut the head off of this snake. And we were able to secure the monies that we now are able to provide to the local law enforcement agencies to work collaboratively to fund these investigations all the way through to fruition. Now, you can throw as much money at it as you want. If you don't have the quality of investigators that the Polk County Sheriff's Office, the FDLE, the DEA, the FBI have, the Winter Haven Police Department that made this case and others successful, it's just good money after bad. But when you have the money that we can provide to these quality folks, and then they can go out and put their lives on the line to get these people into handcuffs and ultimately into the jails, into the federal prisons, that's exactly what we should be doing in this business. I'm extremely proud as a member of the FDLE to be a part of these types of investigations. I'm humbled by the vision of the state legislature and Governor DeSantis for boldly putting this money out there to be able to complete these investigations. Our commissioner, Sheriff Judd, Roger Hamburg, the DEA, the FBI, they've all said we're in this game to the end. So to the citizens of the state of Florida, I know you've heard a lot of alarming numbers presented by the sheriff and the AUSA, U.S. Attorney Hamburg. I want to say we will continue this fight. And with the quality of folks that were involved in this case and others that they're involved in right now, I'm going to say to the bad guys out there that are slinging this poison around this state, we have the ability, whether it be quality of investigators and now resources to throw at it, we're going to come at you. We're going to find you. We'll put you in the bracelets that we use to take care of you, and then we're going to put you into the jails and have the prosecution behind us to do it. We referenced State Attorney Haas. He's been a critical piece of these in this area to support the prosecution of those that go to the state system. The AUSA is obviously on board, as you've heard from Mr. Hamburg, and we've got prosecutors across this state that are saying, you make the cases, you put them in jail, and we'll do the rest. So thank you to the state legislator. Thank you to Governor DeSantis. Thank you to Commissioner Glass, who could not be here today, for allowing us to utilize this money to provide it to the quality of investigators that do this job. And we will continue this fight because we owe it to the citizens of the state of Florida and the 70+ million visitors that come here annually to visit our great state. So on behalf of the FDLE and Commissioner Glass, Sheriff, Mr. Hamburg, other leadership from the agencies involved, Chief, thank you very much. We will continue this fight, and I appreciate their support. So thank you very much. Sheriff?
Chief.
Good morning. Sheriff, thank you for inviting me here today. Also, I'm appreciative of the fact, the reputation we've built over the years with the different agencies here and the invitation to be able to participate in these type of task force, because as you can see, these drug dealers don't care about jurisdiction. They don't know what that is. But we do have an answer, as you can see today, with this case for that. And as long as I'm here, we'll continue to participate in these things. As you've heard and seen over and over how dangerous this is. I mean, fentanyl is dangerous, but as we're seeing today, I think anyone up here standing could tell you it's not just fentanyl. It's now finding in cocaine, methamphetamine, pills, things that people may not know that they're actually getting fentanyl, but they are. And we're all having to deal with it. There's not a community that's not touching, and the only way that we're going to be able to continue to fight this is just as we've done in this case. So thank you.
Whenever we were preparing for this press conference today, I asked my supervisors, I know we don't want to bring the fentanyl here because of the danger it represents, but how about the cocaine? Can we bring some cocaine here so there will be some visuals for the community and the media to see? And he said, no, sir, but we can't do that either. He said, when we were purchasing a lot of this cocaine, we were cautioned to be very careful with it. And as we sold it, to be very careful, because we think it's got fentanyl mixed in with it as well. We think. Do you see the operativeness here? The guy who's selling it to us at a macro level, right? And it ostensibly is going to be passed down to the street, wasn't even sure if it had fentanyl in the cocaine, and if so, how much fentanyl in the cocaine. The danger of this is just absolutely remarkable. So when your child thinks they're experimenting with cocaine, or the person with a cocaine habit says, well, I always use this amount of cocaine, and then voila. It's not just that amount of cocaine anymore. It's that amount of cocaine with fentanyl in it. And that's why people die. When you look at the officials here today, from the highest level of law enforcement down to the local level of law enforcement, and I love the Winter Haven Police Department because no matter what the op is, they're always in. When you look at us, we care more about the people of the community than the people of the community care about themselves. But we're going to do everything we can to prevent them from dying as a result of these horrific drugs. And it starts, as the assistant commissioner said, by cutting off the head of the snake. We just had a press conference not long ago where, with the same team of people, we followed the fentanyl dealer to Compton. We knew that the Sinaloa fentanyl was coming up from Sinaloa, Mexico to Compton. From Compton, it was coming here because we followed them back to the stash house. The Los Angeles sheriff wouldn't even knock on the door in Sinaloa, where we thought the stash was of fentanyl. That's letting people die in California. Well, let's make it abundantly clear. We're not letting people die in Florida, and we'll knock on your door. We'll knock on your door with search warrants. We'll knock on your door to save your life, whether you like it or not. Are there any questions of the gentleman here?
I could be off base here, but I'm looking at this map, people coming from Mexico, Puerto Rico to Polk County, and I'm wondering why Polk County? Is it kind of a hub because we're centrally located? Is that something that
No, this is just the drug trafficking organization that we took down. I would submit to you that other sheriffs all across the state and nation would show the same lines from outside of the country to the dope coming into the country. So obviously they're not bringing their dope only to Polk County. Our detectives, who I brag on them, they are the very best. Our DEA partners, our FBI partners, our FDLE partners, we're all working undercover every day. And this is just the hard work of our team identifying the dopers, bringing it from these other countries here. But those kinds of lines to every other county in this nation could be drawn.
I guess if other people are watching outside of Polk County, the drugs are going east, west, north, south.
Every place. This just happens to be this one, or these two drug trafficking operations. Anything else? Well, stand by, because we'll be here again. And those that are out there that think, well, I'm too good to get caught, I've got a place for you in jail. It won't be long. See you soon.